Hi, I'm Rob, and in this Gems of War video, gonna take a look in the Soulforge, tell you what's good and bad in there. Gonna show you a really cool Raid Boss team with no Mythic as well, and a Underspire team. But before we do all that, let's pop into the Glory Shop and take a look at this weekly event troop, the Desert Ox. What does it do? Creates a mix of 10 Cursed Gems and Doom Skulls and gains an extra turn. Just as well it gains an extra turn, because that is not a lot of creation of Cursed Gems and Doom Skulls. Cursed Gems are brown, have the effect of curse at the same time as getting brown when you match them. But yeah, the chances of it doing anything immediately is pretty low, with only 10 being the combined amount. So the gain an extra turn is kind of useful on that to make sure you do get something from it. But overall, it's not very good. Let's take a look at the traits. Reduce damage from skulls by 20% is okay-ish for this kind of level troop. 10% chance to create a cursed gem when my turn begins. It's going to help the spell a tiny bit now and again, but not very often. And immune to poison, disease, lycanthropy, and death mark is just, yeah, okay. But yeah, nothing too special about that. It's just, I know, yeah, meh, troop. It's like the fact that it's stuck in stone with those cursed gems and doom skulls on the amount you create. Holds it back a little bit, but it does have an extra turn, but it's still not very good. Just a 4 out of 10, but as ever, get us all the way to Mythic level if you can. Always good to get another troop added to your collection. Anyway, I got stopped by a policeman the other day, and he asked me if he could have my name. I said, no, get your own. Haha, told him. Bit like the joke of I was stopped by a beautiful woman the other day. And she asked me if she could have my number. I said, no, I like my number. Get your own. Flipping out these people. Wanting people. Needy people. Be gone, foul spawn. Anyway, on to the Soulforge. Let's take a look at the weapons first. I'm not going to go over all these ones that are here all the time like these. They're in my Soulforge extra video. But first up, the Lost Treasure. Don't go getting it from here though. Get it from the Raid Boss shop. Much better to get it from there. If you get it from here, it's going to cost you a nice... hard to get resources like diamonds and souls, which you probably need if you're a newer player, and things like that, and celestials or celestial trait stones. So definitely get it from the Raid Boss shop, because it's only at tier 3. And you pick up other potions along the way, the potion of enchantment and things like that, and you get other stuff at the same time. And in the shop you spend gems, not valuable diamonds, so definitely better to get it from the Raid Boss shop. There, been told. Right, so Blade of the Sands, the first weapon. Deal magic-based damage to the last enemy. If there's a dust storm, remove all green gems, and then create a dust storm. So, kind of a bit of a strategic weapon in a way, which is a bit weird for this game these days, but everyone's just using powerful dragons and wonder stars for like everything ever. But damage to the last enemy can be useful if they're stealthy, or if they can't be hit and things like that. Really useful. And if there's a dust storm, remove all green gems, which is really useful if you don't use green in your team, but the enemy does and somewhat relies on it. It can be quite good for that kind of thing. Yeah, but quite a strategic weapon and only viable in certain situations. The Stone Staff does damage to an enemy and deal double damage if there's a dust storm, then create a dust storm. So it does create a dust storm itself when you cast this, so even if you don't get that double damage straight away, if you can charge it quick enough, you will do that damage, double damage the next time. Look at Tongue Twister! Yes, Stone Staff. Bash around the head staff with double damage if you do it quick. Twice staff. Right. Again, these are here all the time, not going over these. The Crystal Axe, hopefully it doesn't break when you whack it. Crystal is normally quite a delicate thing. Does damage to an enemy boosted by monster allies, then create a mix of 6 green and brown gems for each monster ally. Uses blue and red to get charged, but creates green and brown. So you must have at least 1 or 2 monster allies in your team that use green or brown to make the most of all that juicy mana. Otherwise you're doing it for nothing, and what's the point? And if you get it charged up, not charged up, you get all the extra benefits for it, the upgrades. You get Dust Storm as well, which means you get a load of brown on a regular basis, which is kind of not good for charging it, because it doesn't use brown, but it can be good if you use brown. And you should for your other troops, at least 1 or 2 of them, because you create the green and brown, as we just said. Anyway, on to the next. Doomed Axe. Really, really good doomed weapon, this one. Do like this one. Deal magic-based damage to all enemies with a +1 per tempering level boost. Then convert purple gems to Doom Skulls. If the enemy has a Doom, create 5 more and gain 3 mana for each yellow enemy. So really powerful against a all yellow team, collecting 3 mana for each yellow enemy. But yeah, the damage to wall and creating those, or converting purple gems to Doom Skulls. You can cast this when you can see you're going to get an extra turn. You can do a ton of damage, and yeah, it can absolutely be a wrecking machine, that one. So really, really, really good. Stinging Wind. No, it's not the morning after a potent curry. It's a weapon on a Barbie thing. Looks like you throw it at someone like a ninja. Like, whata! Take that. Bruce Lee style. Or not Bruce Lee. He was... Anyway. Does damage to an enemy boosted by Drifted Sands allies. Then create a mix of 6 yellow and brown gems for each Drifting Sands ally. A bit like that previous weapon. This one uses blue and red. It creates brown and yellow. So same idea. Make sure that those Drifting Sands allies use yellow and brown to make the most of that lovely mana. Dagger of the Sands. This is kind of the anti-Drifting Sands weapon in a way. Remove all yellow gems. That's the colour they like the most. Then deal damage to an enemy boosted by the gems removed. If the enemy is from Drifting Sands, or if the battle is in the Drifting Sands, deal double damage. This is one of the ones that's cheap to get at a mere 75 diamonds, so really easy to get. Always worth picking up these ones because you can move your kingdoms on, the power levels and things like that, because at certain points in the game you're going to need a certain amount of weapons fully upgraded to move on your kingdoms and things like that, so definitely worth getting. Right, Dustbringer, we'll come to this in a minute, in fact right now, for a very good reason. In fact, it will be a minute, because a Scarab of Nefertari is an essential purchase today. Absolutely, you must get this, even if you think it looks like a rubbish weapon. Eliminate magic +1 from a random skill, then curse, death, mark and disease an enemy. Even if you think, oh, I'm not going to use that ever, get it today. Cheap to buy? Well, cheap-ish. 300 diamonds, 15,000 souls, 600 amethyst thingies, and 3 celestial trait stones. But the reason why you want to get that is because it's one of the ingredients of a Duskbringer. Really cool weapon. Damage to all enemies, boosted by purple allies and enemies. Death mark all enemies, which can be really powerful, providing they're not immune, they can just die. And if there are 13 or more brown gems, gain 2 magic. But to get Duskbringer, you need those standard type resources, as well as the Anchor of Nefertari, the Blade of Nefertari, and the Scarab of Nefertari, which is here today. If you don't get it today, it is going to be an absolute age before it turns up again. So absolutely get that. Scarab of Nefertari today, absolutely essential. Get it today, do you see? Even if you've got enough resources to get like a Wand of Stars today. Wand of Stars is here every week. This is here like once every billion years, so make sure you get it today. Do you see? Right, thank you. Sharp Fang, much better than a Blunt Fang. It explodes magic +1, brown gems, grants a random status effect to all monster allies, then summons a monster troop. So a nice explodey summony weapon there. We all know how I like them. Really, really handy. Mana gen, status effects, summons, great stuff. Another good weapon there. Wand of Stars, make sure you get it. Really, really cool weapon. But like I say, don't get it over other essential stuff like Scarab of Nefertari, because it's here literally every single week, even though it is the best weapon in the game. But there's no rush. There is a rush to get something like this, which is here like today only for like the next billion years, if not more. Probably not that long. I told you a million times, stop exaggerating. I've told myself a million times anyway. Anyway, what else we got? We have a Timekeeper. Do damage to an enemy, magic +3, boosted by hourglass gems. So yeah, the boost is ×8, which is quite good. So in a team that creates lots of hourglass gems, it can be a significant boost, but other than that, nothing too fantastic about it. The Emerald Baton, another nice explodey summony weapon, exploding brown gems, giving a random status effect to all Drifting Sands allies, then summoning a Drifting Sands troop. And any more for any more? Yes, we have a Doomed Barrier. Not as nice as the other Doomed weapon today, but still not too bad if you don't mind this strategy side of the game. Giving armor to an ally with a +3 per temporary level boost, and then give barrier to all yellow allies. In an all yellow team, that is barrier to all, and stun all yellow enemies. So when the game forces you to be all yellow against all yellow, sometimes this can actually be really good because it's very defensive, lots of extra armor, barrier, barrier is quite strong, a very strong status effect. So, you know, you think how quickly sometimes Chrysanthrax, Stellaris has wiped you out and things like that. Like, to absorb effectively, like, all that damage from one card is actually pretty cool. Like, saves you, like, you know, hundreds and hundreds of points, health points, life points, armor points, all in points. As well as the benefit of stunning all yellow enemies. And if the enemy has a Doom, convert 3 yellow gems to giant yellow gems. So good, but yeah, far from essential at the same time. And that is it. So yeah, make sure absolutely above all else today, you go and get the Scarab of Nefertari. Now on to the troops. Right, as I have a look through these summoning stones, see if there's anybody there you think is good. You're looking for like goblins, anybody that starts empowered, which means they start with full mana. Really cool, like Spirit Fox, really good one. Drains 7 mana from an enemy, remove all yellow gems, and then deal true damage, boosted by gems removed. Can be good on Guild Wars days if you're fighting a yellow-based opponent, or they convert something to yellow, so really good for that kind of thing. Good counter to that kind of thing. Box Strider, another really good troop that I love. Inflict Entangle when doing skull damage, as well as reduce damage from skulls by 33%, and destroys magic +1 gems, and destroys and entangles a random enemy. So it's not very strong when you first get it, but as you grow with the game, it will destroy more and more gems and become more and more useful. So very good troop indeed, that one. And no one too phantasmic from there. Again, nothing too special there. Nothing too special there, even though Horned Hag should be better than what it sounds. Not going down that road. Angry Mob is good. Savage Hunter is good. Yeah, lots of good ones here today. So make sure you have a look through those summoning stones. But let's crack on with the mythics. Let's start at the bottom and work our way up in who is first on the list. Well, the first on the list is the Dragon on Rotation, which is a Mythialas. This is on your road to collecting or making crafting Diamantina. So, if this is the last one you need to craft Diamantina, it's definitely worth the extra Dragonite. It stops you having that frustration of getting all the duplicates all the time, which can be a bit of a bum ache. But yeah, you can get lucky at the same time and just open an egg normally and still get it. It's player's choice. But I say every single week, I would still rather, if this was the last dragon I need to be on the way to crafting Diamantina, then I much prefer the guaranteedness of the knowledge that I'm guaranteed to get it, even if it costs me extra Dragonite. But each to their own on that one. Right, so who? It's a first mythic. It's actually a Capricorn. Been past it there, that was a bit weird. Anyway, Capricorn, first mythic. Not actually as bad as it sounds. I don't think this is the kind of mythic a lot of people would rate as being any good. But in the right team with the right strategy, it's actually pretty decent. And it can be good as well against certain opponents. Knock an enemy to the back and stun them. A lot of teams are reliant on the enemy at the front being the meat and bones or the way that the team works. And you immediately knock them to the back and stun them, which is good on its own. Then move myself to the front and gain, what's that, double magic +1, attack, life, and armor. So again, in the right kind of team that does a lot of damage on skulls and things like that, can be actually pretty strong. It does reduce damage from skulls by 40% as well, which goes well with that idea of being in a skull-based team, and do double skull damage versus stunned enemies and give 4 life to all red allies when matching red gems. So yeah, Capricorn, kind of bad with no strategy, semi-decent, pretty good with some sort of strategy behind it and a plan, shall we say. Phoenix, much more simpler troop, doesn't require too much strategy at all. Very basic spell, deal true damage to all enemies or summon 1 to 3 Volfire Hunters. So very straightforward troop this one, but yeah, it is true damage though, which is pretty decent. And starts battles with 25% mana, which is cool. All allies gain 2 random skill points. And bless and enchant a random ally when I match 4 or more gems is very nice as well. Very good troop, that one. Do like a bit of Phoenix here and there. Next up we have Arc Proxy Avenger. Super powerful spell, this one. Really good, but 26 mana cost is pretty high. Convert all yellow gems to Uber Doomskulls, then curse, web, and poison the strongest enemy. Uber Doomskulls cause a massive explosion when they get matched as well, which not only does a ton of damage, an extra damage too, but because of the explosion, often causes a chain reaction to take out other Uber Doom Skulls and then get an absolute ton of mana. And ends up she can often self-charge and do it again. The trouble with the state of the game right now is 26 mana cost means it takes quite a lot of charging to get ready to go. And with just almost everybody using Wand of Stars, Prismatic Orb and things like that these days, it can be risky in attack teams to get her charged on time before the enemy starts doing stuff with their crazy dragons and stuff. So that is our main weakness, getting her charged in time to be effective. But Divine and Elf does give her some decent opportunities, some decent ways of using her on different classes. But Dark Ancestry, immune to Mana Drain, Silence, Fairy Fight and Web is okay. Reduce damage from spells by 25% is alright. And contrary to Uber Doomstorm, when an enemy dies, only comes into play when you kill someone. But it can, again, help her spell. So yeah, she's good if you can get her charged in time. And even then, you are kind of relying on yellow to Uber Doomskulls to match properly, because otherwise you can't always cast these type of troops when you kind of want to, because it's just not giving you alignment on the board. So again, good and bad with that kind of thing, but she is very powerful when allowed to cast. But Mystralis, another excellent mythic here, does splash damage to 1 to 4 random enemies, jumble the board and gain an extra turn. Look at our third trait. Enchant all allies on 4 or 5 gem matches. Reduce damage from spells by 25% is nifty as well as gain 1 life for each yellow ally. That's a little bit rubbish, the first one, but yeah. Enchanted Wind is very, very good indeed. Her only weakness is if she's feeling lazy or not, and my Mystralis is always lazy. I've hardly ever seen her hit 4 random enemies. It's always 1 or 2, occasionally 3, but more often 1. It's like lazy Mystralis. I need the energetic Mystralis. But yeah, she can be really good though. But the fact she jumbles the board and gains an extra turn, as well as that enchant, makes her all round very, very good indeed. Let's quickly go over the legendaries quickly. Who we got? Oh, crikey, we've got the absolutely rubbish Hydra. This thing's awful. It's already a low amount of scatter damage, but it's only boosted by its missing life. So that you've got to get hit, you've got to get damaged and near death for it to be in any way effective. Absolutely awful. Awful troop. Absolutely hideous. Magnus does damage to all enemies, which is good. Boosted by diseased and poison enemies, then disease and poison all enemies. So that can actually be boosted as soon as you basically cast him. And inflict a random status effect on 4 or 5 gem matches is pretty decent as well as being impervious. So pretty nice. Smashed Mouth. Damage to an enemy, knock them to the back, and then drain 7 mana from all enemies below them and gain an extra turn. And bleed and silence the first enemy when I deal skull damage. Not too bad, not too bad. Goblins forgets that extra turn, which is always good. And who's the last one? Tannenbaum. Really, really good legendary this. Do a damage to an enemy, entangle them, and pull them to the front. So damage, pull them to the front, entangle them so they can't do a skull damage. And if you have this in first place, he's impervious as well. Immune to all status effects, devour, lycanthropy and mana burn, and deal triple skull damage versus entangled enemies, as well as gets reduced damage from skulls. So think about how that spell works. Entangles them when you cast it, and then does triple skull damage versus entangled enemies. So really, really good troop is Tannenbaum. But who gets my mythic of the week? Don't know why I done it like that. Mystralis has got to be in with a shout against this lot here. Arc Proxy is good. Just takes a bit of charging, and the way the game works these days, you don't see her that often because she'd be dead in a lot of teams by the time she's got charged. But in some teams she can charge quickly, but risk versus reward kind of thing with her. Phoenix, very, very good indeed. Nice choose one option, and true damage to all is decent, as well as the option of a summon, and that Phoenix's blessing is excellent as well. And who was the other one? Capricorn, wasn't it? Actually, I've gone past it. It can be good, but it takes a little bit of strategy and is not for everyone, so it's not going to be him. Phoenix is really good though, but overall it has to go to Mystralis. Splash damage to 1 to 4 random enemies, jumbles aboard, gains an extra turn, has that enchant all allies on 4 or 5 gem matches, and reduce spell damage by 25%. Mystralis, my mythic of the week. Now onto the Raid Boss team. Now for Raid Boss, you must use the event captain, in this case Denwin the Wanderer. Gets ×2 magic and ×2 score for this event only, so you must have them in your team, and you get them from the shop at tier 2. So you buy tier 1 first, you get these in order, but really good, you get a potion of enchantment, enchants all allies at the start of battle for this event only, as well as extra Raid Boss sigils and troops at the same time. Tier 2, you also get the potion of explosion, explodes 4 gems at the start of battle, so really good to get these tiers anyway. This is why it's good to collect the weapon this way rather than from the Soulforge. And also tier 2 is where you collect Denwin the Wanderer, the troop you need to get those extra bonuses. Dealing damage to an enemy. If they're a boss, deal 3 to 5 times damage based on your ascensions, then explode 3 Doom Skulls. So really good and essential to have it in the team. Frumpy Cat, I've just seen that's quite funny. But yeah, if you can't afford the traits, if you're a newer player, don't worry too much about that. Godslayer, it's skull damage. You're not going to be doing skull damage. It's not actually important. We're doing the normal damage when we cast it, so don't worry too much about that Godslayer if you can't afford those traits, but do get it ascended if you can. It does make a difference, but again, wouldn't go crazy doing that, especially if you're a newer player, because there's 2 ways to ascend it. You can either buy it from here and then back out of here and then use 2 orbs of ascension to get it to mythic level that way. Other than that, you have to buy a shed load of tiers to get it all the way to mythic that way by simply having enough copies of it to get it to a mythic level. So the 2 ways to get it to mythic level that way. At tier 3, you collect the potion of rejuvenation at the same time. Heals 3 damage for all allies at the start of my turn. Only applies to this event again. But you also get the weapon Lost Treasure. Even if you don't think you're going to use it, get it anyway. It's good to have another weapon, and it's going to progress your game in various ways as things go on. And you get more Raid Boss sigils, more Kingdom troops, and more stuff. Alright, so let's take a look at the team. Another team that almost kind of picked itself for me in a way, apart from the weapon, but there's various choices, as is the class. But you have to have Denwin the Wanderer. You have to use that to get those bonuses, as well as be the boss killer. But Queen Bee was kind of the saviour of this team, because when you look through these troops at the options available, it's absolutely pitiful. On the no mythic route, I mean, there are some good ones if you're going to go mythic, like Kronos is a very good troop. Damage to all enemies, convert all blue gems to hourglass gems, which is pretty cool, and enchant all allies when I get an extra turn is very good indeed. So that with a explodey troop, oops, what have I done here? Like the Emerald Baton, for example, what am I doing? There we go. The explode stuff, then that can be really good. Mr. Kronos, excellent troop. But apart from that, there's not a lot here, which is particularly great. I mean, Obrigoni is pretty good, doing damage to all, but Queen Bee is absolutely the star of the show here. Because not only is it a lot of damage, but it's a true damage. And she has that awesome cleanse on Royal Honey. Cleanse all allies when matching 4 or more gems, and she can have 40% chances to gain an extra turn and half her mana back, making her absolutely fantastic. But if you haven't got her, you don't actually get her from here. I'll just show where you get her from, actually, because a lot of people still miss this kind of thing in this game, and they're busting open chests galore thinking, why haven't I got a Queen Bee? And it's because you don't get her from here. You get her from the underworld. You get her from the Deep Hive down here. When you click on a faction, you can actually see the legendary troop you get from here, and if it's one you haven't got, then that's why, because you need to bust open these portals to make sure you pick up that troop. So if you haven't got a Queen Bee, or you've only got one of her, try and get another one, because this works really well with 2. Now for this team, I'm going to use a Medal of Anu. Really good 20% starting mana for all our troops, and 2 times Medals of Nisha to give 4 magic to all troops to puff up, buff up, muff up, I don't know, stuff up. I don't stuff it up because it's good. But it boosts up our damage, which is a good thing. So Queen Bee, going to be doing all that lovely true scatter damage and that cleanse when we need it. We need this fella here for that Godslayer ability to take out the boss, and we can use this as our mana generator, our status effects giver, and our summoner should we need it. Exploding magic +1 brown gems, giving status effect to all Drifting Sands allies, and summoning a Drifting Sands troop. So Drifting Sands, here with these two, and Drifting Sands as well, so they'll all get those status effects, which is cool. Now the banner for this, I'm going to go for a +2 green, +1 blue, -1 brown Ocularan banner from the All-Seeing Eye, because we like green, we like blue, and we don't care about brown. Even though Queen Bee actually generates a load of brown. Now it would have been better if we could have had a brown using weapon here, but none of them are quite good enough for what they do. Kind of close but no cigar kind of things, and I do prefer the weapon I've chosen over this, but we can still benefit from brown from this when Queen Bee casts. So even though we're not going to collect brown as a mana color, we can still benefit from it, and I'll show why. But as a general traits thing, we get reduced damage from scars by 50%. Start with 50% in mana, which is cool, but from the talent trees we can have Serendipity or Impact, player's choice. Anti-Magic Sphere is good. We can have Tactician, really cool as well. But Rock Solid, really good for this. Gain a barrier when matching brown gems. Now every time we cast Queen Bee, she generates all that brown and all that green. Yes, we don't use brown, but every single time that happens, it's not wasted anymore, because we're picking up a Rock Solid barrier, which is really cool. And gain enchant when matching green gems, which we're going to do an awful lot. So we're going to be enchanted a lot, we're going to have barrier, we're going to be safe as ours is, because we're also going to have fortitude. So very cool indeed. Right, let's jump into the game then. Let's take a look at these early battles. Remember, we've got the enchantment thing, potion of enchantment, the potion of explosion. The weapon's going to be ready in no time at all. It's already now. It's like, here we go. Explode those brown gems. That's Queen Bee ready. That's everybody dead. See ya. Buzz off. Quite literally, you are stung to bits, you lot. If that's even a thing, getting stung to bits. Imagine getting stung to bits. That's an awful lot of stings, isn't it? So you actually end up in bits. Stung to bits. I do think of some saying things a little bit too literally sometimes. So we've got that brown then, look. We didn't use it, but we get a barrier. Really cool. And Queen Bee charged up at the same time. Making the use of something which was kind of useless. Or didn't have a use. Just because we don't use it as a mana colour, doesn't mean to say we can't benefit from it. You can do this in Elementalist class as well if you want to be even safer, but it will be a little bit slower because you're not getting that 50% mana start, of course. Let's explode all those brown. Queen Bee is ready very soon. Probably, well, will be next round now. And kaboosh them all out of there. Come on, stop taking 100 extra turns thinking you're doing good. You're not, you're dead. Bye. On to the last one of this little mini set. And we'll jump forward a bit and see what it's like as things get a little bit tougher. Again, can look for some green straight away. Can do red as well, but green's better. Nice smattering of brown there. Take out those enemies. Queen Bee's ready next turn because of the potion of enchantment. And everybody's dead. Well, jumped forward to when Toxic Dagonath starts appearing. Now, it is really, really important that you take this fella out in the right way because, let's just take a look at his stuff and abilities. It does submerge itself when it takes damage, as well as being invulnerable. And you've got to watch out for it because it does kill an enemy. Outright, bang, you are dead. Then create 4 green mana potion gems. And because it uses green, it can get lucky sometimes and self-charge and do it again. Making it an awkward opponent. But we can deal with it. There's a couple of different ways we can deal with it. We're going to collect our mana like usual. But important to remember that this does all that extra damage versus the boss. And this thing is the boss. So we can take it out that way for sure. But one thing to remember, if your Queen Bee doesn't do enough damage to take it out in one go, like that, it will submerge itself. Like that. So when your second Queen Bee casts, it won't hit. That Dagonath at the bottom. But again, we can actually take it out with this Denwind the Wanderer though. So there's a couple of ways where that's actually quite important. Now let's move on to the next battle first. Let's finish it off first. It can't avoid this damage. So really important that. So bang, you are dead. Now if your Denwind takes out a Toxic Dagonath in a single hit, cast it as soon as possible. Very good to do that. Let's show that now. Because sometimes you want to hold back on casting your Queen Bee because, like I say, you want to make sure that that thing is taken care of as soon as possible. Have we got any more green for our thingy? Have we got any red? No, it's been means we'll cast this. See if we get lucky on our manager. Nope. We're ready next round anyway, but it's all good. So our boss killer is ready. If you can take him out in one go, do it. Bang, gone, and then Queen Bee can finish the rest. Because there's one less opponent now, her scatter damage is compressed. It's magnified. It's the opposite of damage to all. Damage to all does a consistent amount of damage to all opponents. So when there's 4 opponents, you get all that damage to all on each of them. When there's less opponents, it does less damage overall because there's less opponents. Scatter damage is the opposite. It's weaker when there's a full roster of enemies, and it's stronger when there's less enemies because you still do the same amount of scatter damage, but it's spread out between the remaining opponents. By doing it this way around, you're making your Queen Bee stronger and should easily, for a lot of players, be able to take out the remaining opponents easily. But there is a second way to go about it as well, which I'll just explain here, which is going to be beneficial to less powerful players, and how you can still use Queen Bee to soften up a Dagonath, even if your Denron doesn't take it out with a single hit. If you don't take Dagonath out with a single hit with this, you shouldn't do it straight away because it's going to be submerged and you're going to have to wait and get this charged up again before you can take out a Dagonath, and by then it could have charged and then just killed one of your troops, which you do not want. So the best way to take out a Dagonath, if your boss killer does not wipe it out on a single cast, is to cast Queen Bee first, which may seem a little bit wrong because you know Dagonath is going to be submerged, but it's going to soften him up because it's true damage. It's going to soften him up. You're going to take that hit, and now we can cast this. He can't, even though he's submerged, he can't avoid this damage, and that makes it a lot easier to kill, and then Queen Bee can finish off the rest. So that is the way to deal with that tricky little opponent, Dagonath, and his crafty little submerged tactics. But there it is, that's the Raid Boss team. Now on to Underspire. Right, now onto the Underspire, and this a team took about 10 seconds to make because it's super similar to the Raid Boss team. All we've done is swap out that last troop for the Great Maw. This might actually be the first time I've used the Great Maw in a team properly. I can't ever remember using it before, but it's actually quite useful in this because with Queen Bee, we generate all that brown when we cast her, but they're kind of wasted right now apart from getting a barrier, which is still cool. But with the Great Maw, all that brown will feed into it, which really can then devour an enemy, as well as create 8 yellow and 8 brown gems. It is one cast only, but on the higher levels of this, it's going to be really useful because Devourum, they're going to be gone. And that means that Queen Beatrice's scatter damage is going to be even more damaging because there's one less opponent there, so it's compressed upon the remaining enemies. The only other thing I changed on this was the banner. I did change this to the maze banner. So +2 green, +1 red, and -1 purple. But apart from that, it's the same as the last team regarding the traits and everything. So yeah, straightforward as you like. Right, let's pop in there then and do a few scraps. This is going to be super straightforward on the early battles. Won't be as quick though, remember, because we haven't got the potion of enchantment thingy, but really good for the tree of knowledge. When you collect green, you get enchanted. So look at that. I'm just going to do this just for the crack, just for the hell of it. That's quite fun actually. I quite like that. Anyway, I should have been concentrating on getting Queen Bee up, but I just wanted to devour someone just because. Anyway, let's get unlucky with our blue. Should have been collecting blue rather than exploding gems when there's not a great amount of blue there. But anyway, let's get rid of Shaghead and move on to the next. Right, so let's collect our stuff, our free stuff from Matey Boy Greenface. Thank you. Be gone. No, I do not want to purchase anything. I want to take your free stuff and go. Thank you. Bye-bye. Alright. I still got on 2 Nisha medals and 1 Arnu for this. Always good to get green if you can. If not, we'll collect some blue with a brown bonus of getting the rock solid barrier at the same time, as well as charging up our Great Maw a little bit. It's been a bit stingy on the old blue. Whatever. Queen Bee is up. Queen Bee Rex. And I got the Deep Maw up again. Oh, Great Maw. Deep Maw. Great Maw from the Deep Hive. It's not from the Deep Hive. It's just mixing up my troops and my faction lands. What the hell? I need a cup of tea. We'll have that, thank you, Tar. Might as well get that because it's there. That for our bee. Be good. Be gone. Foul spawn. Alright, so just a couple more fights in this little Underspire section. I mean, when Queen Bee is in a good mood and can recharge and get extra turns, things like that, can absolutely fly through this. Get that because it's there. Ditto for that. And you can explode the weapon now. Oh, could have given me an extra turn, couldn't it? It's a bit tight. You and Bee. Do your Bee stuff. I mean, even though I haven't cast a second Bee yet, there will be times when she loops or just gets so much green that it charges up the second one anyway, and that's when it really comes into its own. Blimey! How stingy does it want to be on my colours? But a lot of brown there though, so it's really good for this explosion. We get those status effects too, which is nice. Get that just because it's there. And Queen Bee says, buzz off. Ha 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 ha. Right, let's just do one more battle. With two of these Queen Bees, and the Summon, and the Rock Solid, and the Devour. No Mythic, this should be pretty tight. Tight as in a good team. If you need to cast your Queen Bee twice to get rid of the enemy, obviously you just keep on collecting green and blue rather, till you get the second Queen Bee up, then you cast them back to back. But obviously I don't have to, they're going to be dead anyway. But there it is, there's the video. If you enjoyed it, it'd be very cool of you if you bash that like and subscribe button, because both of those things really do help. But most of all, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you again in the next one. Bye for now.